Okay, my friends, get ready. This is going to be interesting. I'm doing a study on opals. I have a whole slew of them here, and we're going to investigate on what is the origin of opals. They really don't understand opals all that well. This is a black opal. This is the rarest opal that exists, and they are very, very expensive. Now we're going to be looking at this in the microscope and all the play of the color and so forth. This is in the microscope right here. But you can see, well, we're going to play around. So let's just have a good time. Hold on. Okay, my friends. So where do we start with opals? Well, we start at the beginning. We have to understand what is an opal and how do these experts, the geologists, claim that these opals form. Now, this is a place called Nixon, and they make opal jewelry, very nice opal jewelry, and they source their opals from Australia primarily. Now, and this is about the best explanation I have seen about opals, and they seem to understand them to some degree. And I think I have a better understanding, and then you can determine whether I do or not. But they are as close to my understanding as anybody has come. And all of the geologists and scientists, they have no clue. They say that it just forms into, opals form from precipitation through cracks and accumulation of this biomineralizer. Now, I'll explain to you what they have to say, what my interpretation is, and what the experts say. And it's going to, all three are a little bit different. Now, how is opal formed? Nobody really knows this. Have you ever wondered about the science behind the splendor? I mean, they are splendorous things. How these incredible shifting rainbows are created inside of stones. How does that happen? Opals are formed from a mineral known as silica, which I have studied extensively. Specifically, hydrated amorphous silica. Well, what does that mean? Hydrated means it's watery. It's got a lot of extra water and it absorbs water quickly. Amorphous just means there's no definition to it. It's just stuff that filtered through rocks. And whatever comes, comes. That's the way they think about it, amorphous. And it is primarily formed from silica. And they do not understand the transition metals, I don't think. Now, silica is a common mineral found in soil, sand, granite, concrete, rock, many other natural materials. It's actually, I believe, the #1 mineral that's on the whole planet. Now, hydrated amorphous silica simply means that opal has a high water content. And amorphous means that it's just stuff that's just accumulated there for no reason. Now, opal is found in many places. Not really. That's not really an accurate statement. It's not found in many places. It's found in certain places. Now, it's found in Brazil, Mexico, Honduras, the western U.S. However, Australia produces 95% of the world's precious opal. And I mean, it is spectacular. I'll show you some of the things that just blow your mind. Now, this place, Nixon Jeweler, sources nearly all of their opals from Australia, working with material like boulder opal. Now, those are like the Yoa nuts. They're balls of opal. From Winton, Queensland, to crystal opal from famed Lightning Ridge, and from Coober Pedy, the opal capital of the world. Now, how does opal form? This is something that is not known. It says opal is found deep in the Earth's crust, near faults, cracks, or fissures. Not necessarily. It's believed that around 30 million years ago, listen to this extremely carefully. They're saying it is believed around 30 million years ago, a large amount of silica was released. Was released from where? Listen to this carefully. Listen to this really carefully. It's believed that around 30 million years ago, a large amount of silica was released and filled the cracks that were all over the earth. In fact, fossil evidence suggests that Australia used to be under the ocean, which the whole world was at this time. Some of those fossils were replaced. There was fossils under there, and they were replaced by silica and formed what we call shell opal and opalized belemnites, ancient squid-like creatures. They were these little, and they were little creatures in the ocean. And what happens is the transition metals invade with the silicate and form the opals. And I've been trying to understand why the opals are so ubiquitous. They're everywhere in Australia. And Australia, to me, is just nothing more than a big blood clot. I'm not telling you that thing is just nothing more than one big blood clot. It's saturated with blood, and blood is saturated with transition metals. Let's look into this, because this is a little bit of biology, it's a little bit of chemistry, it's a little bit of history. There's a whole bunch of things going on here, and I can show you and quite well prove the things I am saying, I believe. And I believe I fully understand how opals were formed, when they were formed, and it wasn't 30 million years ago. And they're saying a large amount of silica was released. Released from where? I know where it was released from. It was released from the ocean floor. It's called siliceous ooze. Now let's talk about that first, and then let's talk about Yale's interpretation of how this siliceous ooze invaded the ocean. Okay, we're going to go through all kinds of different opals, and I have a batch of them here, and we'll put them in a microscope. This is all opal, and every one of these, all of these colors are formed from transition metals. These are transition metals, and you see the colors. Now, what are they? They are in aqueous solutions. That means watery solutions in your blood. Every one of these is in your blood in a certain quantities. And because of these oxidation states, these extra charges, they can move things through the body, deliver them, and pick stuff up. That's what they do. They circulate through your body doing molecular interactions, giving and taking. They're able to move through the membranes. The membranes will allow these colors to move in. That's why it created opals. And the opals are only formed, well, the colored opals are only formed in biology. That's it. And I'll show you that. And you'll see. Well, let me just show you one thing, and then we're going to go to some of the chemistry. This is a heart. That's a heart. I don't think they know it. I don't think they understand. That's a heart. And these are all those transition metals I just showed you. And they accumulate and invade they don't really invade, they are allowed in by the membranes that surround this. Because normally it would say, come on in, you blue guys, come on in and bring the stuff you normally bring us to keep us alive. And the blue guys come in there. Well, this time they just come in and stay. And they fill in this particular type of tissue because it has a specific chemistry. And the same with all the rest of this stuff. It has specific chemistries. That's why you get this specific color in that specific chemistry. And then all of these little colors in here, those are metals. They're metals that are in your blood, and they just have coagulated there, basically, and turned into these colors, the transition metals. Up here, which would have been at the top of the heart, it was laying like this, apparently. Well, no question whatsoever, because the heavier metals come to the bottom, which that's the metals do. They come to the bottom. The plasma rises to the top. So this would have been up above, and that was laying down at the bottom. And this is how opals form. And I'm going to show you this in so much detail, and nobody's going to be able to deny this. But we have to start looking at the things that are in front of us, other than saying, oh, no, everybody's already figured that out. No, they haven't. There's really nothing's been figured out yet that I can find. We need to start all over and just reassess. It's called research. That's what I do. I research. You come to me with something, you say, here's what I say this is. Well, let's talk about it. That's how I do business. You make your statements, and I'll make mine. Okay, this is Yale's paper talking about exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures due to silica-rich oceans. All the rest they got wrong. I'm serious. They got everything else wrong. And I gave them all this research a year before they published this paper. I had done all my research, which is part of what I will show you today. And I gave it all to Derek Briggs, and they plagiarized my work. And I'm calling for the removal of Derek Briggs and the president of Yale. They got to be gone. We got to start over with somebody that really is interested in science, and they are not. Now, this talks about this extreme silica-rich oceans, and it was a quirk of nature. They have no idea why all of this silica would be here to cause all this exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures, like my goose here. You see that? That's his feathers. That's the feather pattern of a goose, or a duck, or whatever it is. I think he's a goose. I call him Caesar Augustus. And here's his neck, and I have, this is all what happened. They transitioned. So I'm going to show you this. And the opals transitioned too, and it strictly was because of the silica-rich oceans. Now, what I just showed you said it was 30 million years ago, and so now we can date everything to that. They say it was 250 million years ago, somewhere in that area, and we can date it right to that. That's 220 million years difference. And I'm going to tell you what, all of this stuff, this was just laying on the surface of the earth. This didn't even dig for this stuff. All of my stuff came right off the top, and this is the exceptional preservation, which I submitted all my stuff to Yale, and they agreed that it was exceptional preservation, and it was a worldwide flood, very quick, rapid precipitation, extremely heavy amount of silicates, and it preserved all these soft-bodied creatures. But they can't get their head around the creatures that I have found. But mine are DNA tested, CAT scan, and all that. I submitted all that to Yale. They took credit for my work. I want the president of Yale gone, and I want Derek Briggs gone. We will never get anywhere in science with people like that running the show. So let's see what this silicates did, and where did they come from? This is another thing that Yale refuses to discuss. Velikovsky said we were almost hit by Venus, and Venus caused such a turmoil that the whole ocean was flooded, exactly like they said. Exceptional preservation, and it was a worldwide event. A thin layer, they call it Ediacara era layer, which it's not. Let's forget about that. It was but a very thin layer of this floodwaters. And then what was in this layer became extremely well preserved, and then all of the fleshy stuff ran off and created mud. Mud is nothing more than fleshy stuff, and it turns into clay. That's what it is. And then the organs and all that stuff became very well solidified, exceptionally preserved soft body parts, which my stuff is flawless. Wait a minute. I have a lung here. Whoops, hold on. Technical difficulties. Hold on a second. All right, here's what we got. This is a lung. That was DNA tested, CAT scan, certified 100%. And you see the flatness of it? That's what happened to all this stuff when it died in the flood. And it was silica. It was the silica caused the invasion into the tissues to solidify them, and it's called biomineralization, which means the biology just became mineralized. I have all this stuff. I have CAT scans, I have DNA, I have specimens, I have everything. And all this was presented to Yale. That's why I'm upset with Yale. And you're never going to get anywhere. They don't return any emails. They've just treated me like I'm a fool, and then stole my work. So it's plagiarism by Derek Briggs. And they all knew about it because I contacted Yale President Salvoy, all of them. And no, couldn't care less about it. So this is the kind of attitude they have, and this is why all academia is under fire. They're nothing. And at this point, I have no respect for them anymore whatsoever. The Ivy League is the worst. It's not a poison Ivy League. It's over. All right, check this out. This is really cool. What's nice about this microscope is that the light, when you go up with the light, you can literally see the different colors in this. Right now, we're in the low end of the spectrum. Now, I'm going to move it up here, and you'll see that it'll go from being green like that. Let me get this out of the way. Hold on a second. All right, watch what happens. interesting. Oop, there it goes. You see from the green, we got into the red and the blue. And that's then you can wash it right out with the light. But you come back down here, you're in the red and the red and the blue and all that. And then you get way down here, you're into the green. And way down even lower. It's very hard to adjust at this low end, but it's pretty cool to see that. Now, what we are looking at is transition metals. Those are nothing more than every one of those colors is a transition metal. And what happens is it has certain orbitals that only bounce certain frequencies of light. So this particular metal, whatever it is, only bounces this particular color. And that's the spectrum of light in the visible spectrum. So we see it as that bounce back of that color. So that's what, and transition metals are the key to this whole thing. Alright, my friends, I am terribly sorry, but in the next, from now till the end, which is a significant amount of time, all I'm going to be doing is showing pictures and so forth, and the sound is absolutely terrible. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but I just can't do it over again. You'll be able to do it, or you're going to have to turn your sound way up, and it's muffly sounded. The microphone was in the wrong position or whatever. Just, I'm sorry, but no refunds. All right, check this out. $345,000 for this black opal. Now, it's 24 by 21 millimeters. That's pretty good size. 24.7 by 21. Not much difference. So it's a little bit out of round, but look at this. Look at that thing. Now, it's gorgeous. I have black opal here too that we'll be taking a look at, and it's certainly nothing like that. I have little chips and scraps from, I believe it was an opal dealer or something, sent me those long ago, and I lost the name of the person. I feel terrible because I don't know what I did with it, but I have a whole bunch of chips of things that they sent for me to analyze, and this goes back at least 2-3 years. And so if you're the person, leave me a comment and I will thank you very much. You see, these are Yoa nut opals. Okay, Yoa nuts means they're nothing but little organs. Now these are lungs. There's a pair of them, Boulder opal pair. You can see that's a lung. Those are alveoli. And a lot of them, I don't know if they know any of them are biological, but every one of them is biological. Every one of these opals is from some biological creature or even trees. I have some, let me show you a couple other things. But they are all being invaded by transition metals. And that's why you see these structures are inside of them. It's not like they're just layered and just, although the black opal does look like it could have been just something that laid around and accumulated a whole bunch of stuff. You see how it's... But let me show you something about that. That, my friends, I can tell you exactly what that is. That is nothing but a ball of blood. Now that had to come out of a good-sized heart, and it was just nothing but blood in there. Because I'll show you what happens within a heart when all the blood settles down to one section. And here it is right here. I might as well show you right now. This is exactly what you just saw right there. A little more silicate than transition metal. This is really quite transitioned into transition metals. But all those different colors, that's that black opal. All right, remember now, see up here, that's the plasma that's risen up to the top. This was down. So this was up at the top. The plasma doesn't hold the metal. The metal is heavy, sinks to the bottom. That's transition metal. So the other one, let's see it again here, hold on. the same stuff. Basically the same stuff. And it's a heart. So as far as I'm concerned, the black opal is a ball of blood. Now I have some here, the black opal. And again, they're just scraps. I have nothing fabulous. But whoever sent them to me, I'm very appreciative, and I'm terribly sorry I forgot or lost the information. I don't know how, but things happen. So I'm sorry. Alright, so you see the heart. Now here is my microscope here. Are you ready for some major glitz? These are black opals. And there's 3 little pieces. Now I'm going to turn them in the light here. Watch this. Look at the colors as you turn into the different way the light hits them. Look at that. Isn't that spectacular? Look at that. Oh my God. You know how, that's just amazing. Look at that. Look at that. My goodness. Look at that. It depends on how you tip it, how the light plays off. Because it's bouncing off of these transition metals, and they're in a crystalline, or some, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but they're in some configuration inside, almost like looking through a prism or something. Look at all those different colors. Boy, that's mesmerizing. Alright, I guess some other ones we're going to take a look at now. Alright, what I want you to look at is this right here. You see that? That's literally glue. Or it could be a membrane, but I think it's glue. And whatever this was, I think it was some kind of possibly a muscle, a tendon, I don't know. But I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest with you. But this is the part that accepted the transition metals. Why, I don't know. But the glue, there's certain things that they don't get invaded because they're really inert. Like whatever was here wanted to normally take in and give out stuff. This was basically a glue that never did anything other than it was just glue. So it didn't bother to transition because it wasn't moving product through its molecules, basically. Alright, this gives a really a good understanding of where the opal part is that absorbed the transition metals and where it did not. Now, you can barely see, it's just barely turned on. Oops, that's the problem. Either get, alright, well that's not bad. You see how we're way down in the spectrum here. And as we come up, it's hard to come up smoothly. That's about the best that's not bad. That's pretty good. And this is the glue. I don't know what it was glue in it too, but this was very fortunate to be able to get it in these little tiny slabs that I can see this, and whoever sent it to me, I really appreciate it. I just never got around to it. I'm sorry. All kind of things were happening in my life, and now I'm back at it. And again, whoever it was, thank you so much. I think there's a little better. Look at that. Isn't that spectacular? Those are transition metals. Alright, this is a fire opal, and you can see there's some biology looking stuff going on there. You see it? They're all biology. I mean, every one of them is biology. And it comes up to the skin or whatever was up there, whatever it attached to. This is the meaty part of it, appears to me. This is a fire opal. Alright, I'm going to bring the light up. This is the skin of whatever this was. Now, like I say, it's hard to bring it up smoothly. But that's about the best I'm going to get between dark and light. But this is the skin. They're all coated with something because they're inside of a membrane. That's what will allow the transition metals to come in and stay in. Alright, that's just a little blob of amber. This is the lights, and you can't do much about that. They make the glare. Now I'm going to bring it up a little brighter and brighter and brighter. That's just amber. Alright, this is something called turtle head. I don't know why they call it that. I'm sort of freelancing here. It's a very rough cut. It's not polished or anything. But you can see it has the same coating on it as all of them do. You see the coating on the top? Where this was in the body, I have no idea, but it's biology. Those are the transition metals. And there's the skin at the bottom. See? Alright, this is a pretty good sized chunk. This is called seam opal. And like I say, these are like scraps. Somebody, wow, look at that. And it's got the same thing. That's the skin. That's skin. So all of this stuff is either flesh or blood or whatever it is. Where you see these colors, that's transition metals. Now why it's called seam opal, I'm not sure. I can see the skin, and then I can see the biology underneath, which is the blood and the transition metals. Alright, here's another little piece, and that's got a lot of color to it. All transition metals. Alright, you see this? This is called potch. And it's opal with no color. Alright, and I believe this is probably a tendon, and this is probably the slurpee. It's on the tendon. This little slippery looking stuff. And it looks like they cut it on the other side around the edges and left this little slurp at the top. That's the way I take this one. Now I have some here of my own that's very similar to this, but the blood is like a big blob of blood on it. Alright, this is one from my property here that is basically the same thing. It's not cut, but it's the same material. And this is the blob of blood that's out here. Now this is another color of blood. I'm not sure what this thing really consisted of as a body part, but it is a body part of something. And that almost looks like that little lock that I call a spur lock. A little latch that comes across. This could be the bottom of a lung that emptied out, but I don't see the alveoli, so I would say no. But I think that might be the latch right there. I think that is. Could very well be, hard to say. Definitely biology. Okay, now watch this. This is called an inclusion crystal. I'm going to turn it over because the inclusion is on the other side. Alright, so you see that right there? That's blood. And they cut it so that the blood, part of the blood vessel, watch, I'm going to lay it out flat. You see it? They call that inclusion. Well, that inclusion really was the blood vessel, right, the edge of the blood vessel. So when they cut it, they cut a little tiny piece of the blood vessel right here. Let me see if I can get it in the right position for you to see it. I think you might be able to make it out there. Hold on, take it easy. Basically, that's a blood vessel. Just think of it that way. And they caught it in here, and then they just say that's an inclusion. It's not supposed to be there. Well, it is supposed to be there because that's what fed it with blood. And it's got some pretty good color. And what this was, I imagine a muscle. I don't know. Hard to say. But it picked up a lot of transition metal colors. Alright, that's another fire opal. And it's got a little skin on the top there, some coating on there. There's the opal. And underneath it has that base to it, which is the silicon base, which is like the basement layer of skin. See it? And that's the outside layer of skin. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Alright, I literally have a couple dozen more of specimens, but I'm kind of opal out, to be honest with you. Isn't that something? Look at how fabulous that is. All you're going to do is see a bunch more colors. There's really not much more to tell other than, like, this is skin. That's the skin. And underneath, or it could be fascia or something like that, but underneath is where you got where things transfer a lot. Remember this, I think I made this clear before, but maybe not. This down here, where you have all these transition metals, that tells me you have membranes that are letting these things in and out, because they come in and out all the time, those transition metals. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, come on in, no problem. Yeah, I see you all the time, no problem. So they get in there, and then they just get stuck in there because the guy's dead. It migrates in there and it finds something that it says, you and me, we always hook up together. Forget about the sulfur, forget about this other guy. And they hook up and they become fairly solid. Although there's a lot of water in opals, because there's a lot of water in body tissue. And that's why when you rehydrate the mud fossils, you get all these different colors come back right away. You see, there's the skin on this one. Right All right, like I said, I'm getting a little tired of this right now, but I got other bags full of them, and then I have some of my own that are water opals. And I don't know what they would call that, whether they would call that an opalized chunk of meat, or I don't know what. But it's certainly got a lot of transition metals and blood in it, and fascia. Geology is not what you thought it was, my friends. Not by a long shot. All right, I love you all. We'll just keep doing this. There's so much more to be examined. It's just amazing. All right, take care. Thank you.